Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I've got a short video for you about needs versus wants, and it's not the need versus want video that you're thinking about. You're probably thinking this is the same old story since you've heard since you were a kid about, oh, how, I want this and I want a TV and I want an Xbox, but what I really need in my life is something smaller, something lesser, be happy with what you have, Thanksgiving, blah, 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 world peace. Not what we're talking about today. What I'm going to be talking about today is needs versus wants in decision making and our limited perceptual ability to remove ourselves from the problem and think objectively. We're going to be looking at this from the point of governance and from the point of myself, because I get this a little bit on YouTube, so it's a little bit of a personal video for me. The gameplay that you're going to get to see is me starting out using the MP11 and decide, you know what, that's not really working out, and we'll swap over to the KF5 and do a lot more good work. So I get this on YouTube because a lot of people message me, and what they want me to do is use whatever limited connections I have to talk to a developer or make a video or really push an issue about something that they want changed in Call of Duty or about gaming in general. This change has to occur, whatever it is. Skill-based matchmaking is popular now. Lag comp was popular in the past. Fixing a map or a bomb or just whatever, doesn't really matter. Even different games, like they ask me for League of Legends or Battlefield or whatever. And the changes that are requested that they want really badly maybe aren't necessarily the ones that would benefit them the most. And I, as a person in the community spotlight, and people treat me kind of like an elected official, which is weird because that's absolutely not true, I'm expected to do something about it. Being in my position, I know that what that person wants is not what they actually need. They need something entirely different, and it's very difficult to explain that. It's also, this was something that's very difficult for me to realize in my life, and I'm trying to help you today. I'll use a different example: cigarette taxes in Mississippi. I am from Mississippi. That is the poorest or second poorest state in the union. We rank statistically high on all of the bad things and statistically low on all of the good things. And come election time, one of the more popular issues every single election that rolls is cigarette taxes. First of all, what people need to do is not focus on the damn cigarette taxes, but the economy of the state. But I'm going to talk, that's a different story. What people want in Mississippi, what the general public wants, what the majority of voters want, is lower cigarette taxes. We want our cigarettes to be cheaper. Why do we want it? Because we're addicted to cigarettes. We think cigarettes are great. We smoke cigarettes all the time. Cheaper cigarettes means I spend less money, and I personally, as an individual, am happier. They're also not able to kind of step back, and obviously if they're smoking cigarettes, they're not realizing that it's bad for you, or they don't care, and they don't realize that with the way the healthcare system is in that state and in general, that it's actually a bigger tax to the public. The less days you work, the crappier the economy is, the crappier the state is. The more you smoke, the worse your health is. The less days you work, the crappier everything gets, etc., etc. So what the people of Mississippi need to do is smoke less, and we'll all live longer, we'll be healthier, we'll be happier, and our state will economically do a little bit better. There's a lot of other reasons why it's economically impoverished. That's a very tiny one, but it's a small example. But they don't want that. They don't want what they need. There's a big disconnect. So the elected officials in Mississippi get a whole ton of flack because they have to sit there and argue about cigarette taxes because they want to tax them all to hell and make all the citizens stop smoking because it's bad for them. But the citizens don't want that, and there's a big argument in there. You can see a similar kind of thing. I'll use my dad, for example. My dad was a calculator salesman. I don't know if you remember calculators, like big bulky bank calculators like IBM machines and stuff like that. And when computers came along, when they first came out, the calculators were still actually faster. You could input data faster and better in a calculator if you knew how to do it than you could in a computer. And I, as a kid, encouraged him to swap to the computer industry because I said computers are going to put calculators out pretty soon. What my dad wanted in his life, what he wanted is he wanted calculators to be popular again. He wanted people to go back to calculators because they were simpler for some things. He wanted regulations against computers. He wanted a lot of things. What he needed to do was jump ship on the calculators and move over to working with computers. Now, that never happened, and I don't need to tell you how well the calculator business is doing now because you're probably wondering what the hell it is I'm even talking about. Probably like 5% of you even know the machines that I'm referencing. And you can see this again and again and again in the United States. So we see things here. What's another good one to pick on? We see one about protecting American jobs, like preventing overseas offshoring, exporting jobs, and that's a good thing. We want to keep our jobs in-house. You want to keep our manufacturing here. In case there's a war, the ramp-up is shorter, the quality is good here. We're feeding Americans, not Chinese or Indonesians or Indians or whatever. Quality standards are terrible there. They pollute more, a lot of different reasons, but ultimately it's moving over there because the prices are getting cheaper. What the citizens want is they want to request that the government make it illegal to do that, harder on multinationals, or higher import taxes. The reality is that we cannot fight macroeconomics. There is no way to fight macroeconomics and win. You can't just like make the jobs come back over here and have it return to the 80s or 70s. That's not going to happen. What we need to do is shift our educational system. Instead of educating people to a bare minimum standard, which was previous in the past, we make people smart enough to work in a factory and they were happy because there's plenty of factory jobs. But that's not the case anymore. The average person graduating high school in the United States is, yes, smart enough to work in a factory, but not smart enough to work in the tech industry or in a thought-based job. Some of them, unfortunately, can't even do a skill or a trade, though. What we need to be doing is preparing for a post-manufacturing economy. The manufacturing is moving elsewhere with the exception of specialty stuff, but that's a high thought process job. We need to redo our public school system, our university system, and general like government subsidies and taxes and laws, like a bajillion different things that we could be doing to preparing for an idea-based economy, for a thought-based, for a high-tech economy, and not sort of a low-end factory manufacturing economy. But we don't want that. We want what's easy, we want what's now, we want immediate gratification, but there's a big disconnect between wants and needs. And one thing that will help you in your life, not only if you're a politician or in a position of power or making decisions for lots of people, because I can guarantee you the second you get a position of power and you start making decisions for lots of people, you will see this very clearly between what the group needs and what the group wants, is you need to have the ability to take a step back, to pretend like you're not in this group, to pretend like the decisions don't affect you, and even try to remove the emotional component to it and just look at a pure fact-based sort of thing. Drug law, or not drug law, that's very controversial. That'll probably piss a lot of people off. Let's talk about DARE. DARE is kind of a fun one. That's drugs again. The DARE program is an anti-drug program run in schools. And schools pay for this, and parents encourage this, and they want their children to go through the DARE program to learn about the dangers of drugs, etc., etc. But statistically, it's been proven that kids that take DARE are actually more likely to do drugs than kids that don't. So what they want is actually causing the opposite of what they the end goal. Or let's see, abstinence only sex education. Lots of parents want this. They want abstinence only sex education for their children because it's upstanding, it's moral, it matches religious values. It is ultimately an extremely simple concept that anybody on this planet can grasp, that if you don't have sex, you don't get STDs, you don't have teen pregnancy. It's pretty simple. Unfortunately, it's proven to not work at all. Like, pretty much none, and it's far less effective at preventing the things that people don't want than the program that they don't want. So you have to kind of push this thing that people hate on them for their own benefit. And if most of these people could step back and look at the statistics, the numbers, the performance, and remove the emotional, religious kind of attachment to their baby and their child doing these things, the whole world would be a better place. That's kind of the goal today. That's the message. Just something I wanted you to think about. I hope you learned something useful. Just a little nugget for thought, not a full one, just a little one to chew on. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.